thing I wanted to talk about on the free show, and then we got to go, is Iran has basically announced that it will stop complying with parts of the nuclear deal. They are still in compliance as of yesterday, and they are in the nuclear deal. Remember, this is an international accord. This is not just the United States, which is why the United States had not the ability to refreeze assets internationally or to impose an international embargo. However, the United States can make it very hard and has been punishing European and foreign entities that have been doing business with Iran. And so Iran has been starved of some resources. Rouhani basically has told folks like the Chinese and Europeans that you need to compensate us for the cost of the American sanctions in some measure. And starting Wednesday, Iran is now going to build up its stockpiles of low-enriched uranium and heavy water used in nuclear reactors, including a reactor that could give Iran source of bomb-grade plutonium. So basically what they're doing is we're basically starting up the factory for our nuclear program, but one of them is a dual-use program. We're not going to make the bomb-grade plutonium, but we're starting up the machine that could. And under this announcement, Europeans now have 2 months to figure out a way for Iran to basically sell their oil and to get some of their banking done. And if that doesn't happen, then they're going to start to develop uranium that exceeds the grade level of industrial use. And they're going to start to enrich uranium enough to make it bomb grade. So this is the plan, right? I mean, this is John Bolton putting a brick, tying it to the accelerator, and attempting to see what happens next with the car as it goes careening down the road.
Well, I mean, and they've been, making things up and distorting intelligence. And I mean, this could be it. I mean, this could be the thing they were triggering, even as they've been basically engaging in psychological and economic terrorism the past year and using it. I mean, they're using it in trade negotiations with China as an example. Like, this is an area that the Chinese can capitulate to them on in exchange for other things that are more important to China. But I think it's also just really worth noting that going back to the beginning, it has never been documented conclusively ever that the Iranian government is lying about its program. So I'm not to say to take them at face value, but there have never been clear intelligence estimates that they were developing a weapon. And they, restarted, they basically shut down the Shah's program in the 80s. And the only reason at the time they restarted it was because the United States and other world powers like France and Germany were selling Saddam Hussein weapons when he used chemical weapons against Iran. And Iranian leadership was like, well, if all members of the Security Council are going to sell a guy who's using chemical weapons against us, maybe we'll, weaponry, maybe we'll set things up for ourselves. But even this move, just to be very, very clear, is in no way, an indication or promise that they want to weaponize. It could even just be, they're losing options with their energy.
Theoretically be, basically, this could be performative. It's the only leverage they have.
Yes.
And so it's not unlike, any other, if you don't, it's the only leverage they have.
And Rouhani even said, Rouhani said in the speech, that this deal was a good thing. It was working. The Europeans still want it. We've been terrorizing the Europeans as well. And of course, the other thing is it's amazing that Rouhani and Zarif are still in position, because when the supreme leader said 3 years ago, he gave them public permission to do these negotiations and said, and never trust the United States, and I expect that this will be a disaster. So, well played.
Yeah. All right. We got to take